Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I call the honourable member Ian Lees-Galloway.
Chairman, after that contribution from the Minister, we find ourselves in a really difficult situation. Either the Minister is right, and the Official Information Act only applies to public entities, and if the Minister is right, then clauses 42 and 43 are therefore irrelevant and unnecessary in this legislation, or the Minister is just wrong, doesn't actually understand the Official Information Act and has misinterpreted the advice that she's been given, and in fact clauses 42 and 43 are necessary in order to specifically exclude charter schools from the Official Information Act. That I think is an untenable position, and the Minister is going to have to further clarify exactly what her position is, because I think she's wrong. I think the legislation has got it right that clauses 42 and 43 are required because the Official Information Act does extend to organisations that have a contractual relationship with public entities, with the state, and of course private schools are covered by the Official Information Act. So actually I think the bill is right, and clauses 42 and 43 are required if the Minister wants to exclude charter schools from the Official Information Act, or the bill's wrong. And clauses 42 and 43 aren't necessary, and the Minister's right, in which case I look forward to her quick handwritten amendment that strikes out clauses 42 and 43 because they wouldn't be necessary if the Minister's actually right. Of course, what clauses 42 and 43 actually are simply an extension of the incredibly undemocratic nature of this current national government. Now, easily one of the most, if not the most, undemocratic, anti-democratic governments that we've had in quite some time. So we already know plenty of problems trying to get information via the Official Information Act as it is. The Ombudsman's office being completely clogged up with complaints referring to the government's tardy and inappropriate responses to the Official Information Act, and then a refusal to fund the Ombudsman's office to the extent required in order to actually process complaints relating to the Official Information Act. Especially 42 and 43, which exclude charter schools from the Official Information Act. Now, what is it exactly that the Minister wants to have hidden from the Official Information Act? Is it possibly the fact that private organisations could be making a profit from offering education through charter schools? Is it that type of information that the Minister wants to keep hidden? Is it anything to do with students that parents might want to find out through the Official Information Act? These are questions that the Minister has failed to answer, and all she's done is got up and muddied the waters further by saying that. The Minister smiles, but she has confused the situation even more by saying that in her opinion the Official Information Act does not extend beyond the core public sector, in which case we have to look at 42 and 43 and consider whether or not they're even necessary in this legislation, sir. So I think the Minister needs to get up on her feet again and clarify that position because... Sorry? Or Colin King could clarify the position as well. He seems to be he's got the green slips from the ministers. Maybe he'd like to table the green slips, and then we'd all know what it is that Colin King has received. But Mr. Chair, it's what's obvious from the minister's contribution that she's made is that there is now quite a question over the necessity of clauses 42 and 43, because it is important that parents get information about their students if they're at charter schools. It is important they have access to that information, but as Jacinda Ardern pointed out, it's quite easy for the ministry to take a don't ask, don't tell position, and if the only avenue that parents have is to go through the Ministry of Education, it'd be quite possible for that information to be blocked precisely because clauses 42 and 43 are here. So, Mr. Chair, I think at this point it really is important that the Minister get back to her feet and give us a clarification around that.
I call the honourable member Kamuljit Bakshi.